After 11 matches in the 2024 Caribbean Premier League (CPL), the biggest sport in sports, 5 matches have been decided in the final over. In fact, 3 of those matches have gone to the final delivery. There have been 215 sixes, 288, 284 fours. And the new team, the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons, are third in the standing. It has been an exciting and dramatic Caribbean Premier League as we touch the one-third. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Caribbean #1 cricketing channel. I have invited Gerard and Basil to talk to us about the review of the Caribbean Premier League 2024. Gerard was in Antigua, and as you know, Basil is a follower of cricket wherever it is played. Hello, gentlemen. Good evening, and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Carlton. Good evening, Jared. Good evening to your viewers, Carlton.
Yes, man. Good evening, Carlton, Basil, and to your viewership. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Gerard, you've been in Antigua and you were there with the Falcons. You are covering the Falcons. What can you tell us about the Antigua leg of the CPL?
Well, I'll start with the obvious that everyone saw. So the first 2 games were very tight, very close. And to me, the Antigua Falcons should have gotten over the line. The most obvious thing that was missing for me at the top would have been Brandon King. That injury, I think, was a very heavy blow to the team. And he would have probably provided that extra 20 to 50 runs that they needed to get over the line in those first 2 games. And of course, another factor was the coin toss, because as we know, that ground is famous for run making and it is better to chase. And the captain would have ruled some of it. He lost 5, right? It was 5 coin tosses he lost. He only won the other night, right? His first win of the coin toss. So he lost all 5 of the home leg coin tosses, and the first 4 games all did not go his way. Now the third and fourth games against the Royals, those games, now the Royals were a very tricky outfit. They were very difficult, and the Falcons had no chance in that one. They did not bat well, and they did not bowl well. The 4th game against the Kings, again, the Kings did what they have to do, got over the line. So those 2 games, those were the only 2 that we would say, okay, fine. Those are really good games and poor results. But the first 2, they should have gotten over the line. And then now the 5th game, preceding the 5th game, I was there at the Royalton where they had a sit-down with Sir Vivian Richards. And to be very short, he gave a speech that made me want to run through a wall for him. It was an amazing and encouraging speech. He commanded the room. And Sir Viv had the whole team in, I want to say, awed. Everybody was just silent, listening to every word. And I believe that had some part to play. And then, of course, we saw some strategy changes in the last game where Justin Greaves batted a bit higher at the top, where we saw Primus coming a bit higher in the order as well. And Green saved himself. He only bowled 1 over in his spell, but he utilized Allen and Primus way more. He said that the pitch was agreeing with that type of bowling, and he figured, okay, Allen took out all the dangerous players. Why not just utilize them for now? He did not see that he had to be used, and it worked out well. And they got over the line in their first home game against TKR, a very strong TKR.
Thank you, and thank you very much, Gerard. Basil, what's your view of the CPL up to this stage? And probably you want to give us a little feedback on the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriot. And I realized that when Gerard was speaking about Sir Viv and how he was able to motivate the players to a point where, as he put it, they would run through a wall for him. I saw you smiling and saying, that's the spirit. Basil, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, well, I heard the speech because I thought it was on social media, and it was Sir Viv in plum form. Sir Viv sort of when he talks about West Indies team or whatever, and the passion with which he delivers, you can't help but want to run through the wall with him, because he is going to do the same for himself, right? I must say the first couple games in Antigua were very exciting, coming down to the last ball. As a fan, you can't ask for anything better. The games in St. Kitts, for me, was not really my cup of tea. Seeing these 260 and 200 and change scores and the place just raining sixes, I like a little more competitive balance between bat and ball. So for me, I didn't really enjoy the St. Kitts games for the most part, that is. Because of these sixes just really Mr. Puran he was like Babe Ruth. And Mr. Hetmyer, similar, he was like Babe Ruth too. They were hitting home runs when he hit 11 sixes and then 91. Oh my Lord. If I was a bowler, I was throwing the ball back to the captain. That was a game where young Drakes, 4 for 77. Imagine a bowler almost averaging 20 runs and over in a match. That was carnage at his best.
Yes. Let's look at the points table, gentlemen, and there's a points table. Clearly, the Guyana Amazon Warriors, they are in the points table. Are you seeing the points table, gentlemen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. They are on 6 points. The Royals come second on 4 points. Jared, the Falcons have moved up to third. Only have 4 matches remaining because they would have played their 5 home matches already. So too are the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. But do you think that the Falcons have a realistic chance of making it to the playoffs?
Yes, I think they do. The only thing I would say, of course, the absence of Zaman, that could play a part in their run chase or providing runs. But Brandon King did his thing in that recent game. He looked good, looking good form. I think once they remain focused, disciplined, yes, I definitely think that they could make it all the way. And they have some games here to get some good revenge, especially on that Guyana game. That's a game they should have won for sure. And I think they can make it all the way. They have the quality. To me, they're the most all-rounded team. They mightn't be the most clinical, but they're the most all-rounded team. Great feeling, great bowling, great batting. It's just to get the jitters out of the way.
Okay, Basil, do you think the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots can actually qualify? They are now sitting at the bottom of the table. Only 4 matches to go. Some difficult matches. What are your thoughts?
I think their season. I would be so surprised if they're able to qualify to the playoffs, because it's the top 4 teams, right? They're on 2 points with 4 games to go. They got to play games in Guyana, Trinidad, and Barbudas, and so on. I think it's going to be really tough going, and now too, with the loss of Sharfin Rutherford, who is a key batter in that team. The question you have to ask is, where are the runs going to come from in that team? So I think that their chances are slim to none to get into the playoffs.
But as you ask where the runs are coming from, Basil, the captain, Andre Fletcher, said that they can chase down any total.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you feel that they can't?
Well, Fletcher, that's his opinion. They can chase down any total. So that is yet to be seen, right?
Yes.
Right. So they're sitting on a 1-5 record. So I don't take Fletcher's bravado with a pinch of salt, so to speak.
Let us look at the leading wicket run takers from from a West Indies point of view, this is not the, as you see, West Indies batsmen are at the top, the first three, then Joel Andrew is 7th and Shimron Hetmyer is 8th. What I want you to pay attention to is the figure right over to the right-hand column, the extreme right-hand column. And if you look at that figure, although Hetmyer have only scored 118 runs, he is really ahead in the KPI, and think that Joel Andrew is last. Now,
first, before you continue, Carlton, please explain to us and the viewers what is the KPI, what this entails.
All right, the KPI is simple. In T20 cricket, it's not only about scoring runs, but it's about your strike rate. Now, a man may face 3 deliveries. He hit 1 for 4, 1 for 6, and then got out. Right. And so his average would be 10, which is very low, but his strike rate would be 500.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to mitigate that, what you do now is to add the average to the strike rate to get the KPI, because it's both runs and strike rate that give you a better definition of what the batsman is really doing. A batsman who comes down and face 10 deliveries and make 18 runs, and when you look at it, his average is 12 or 15, and you said, well, boy, he's not averaging anything. But then his strike rate is 180. So when you had both of them, you get a truer reflection of what the batsman is doing. And that is the case when you had Hetmyer average of 59 and his strike rate of 187. He is the one with the highest KPI thus far. Now, looking at the West Indies batsmen, Basil, and starting with you, I will come to Gerard next. What is your feedback on the West Indies batsmen so far in this tournament?
Mr. Mears again is showing, for one, why he should have been in the World Cup team in the first instance. He's again showing why he should have been in the squad in the recent T20 series against South Africa, with the way he has been batting. Young Louis has made some nice adaptations to his approach. In thus far, what he has shown in the games he has played, I mean, he scored 250, so good for him. Similarly, the young Joel Andrew, who is a guy for the future in terms of playing for the region. Nice to see a youngster able to come out and more than hold his own against, seasoned campaigners and international players, which would bode well for him. Evan Lewis is, he is a player that, a few years ago, one would have said Evan Lewis was clearly the best white ball batsman in the West Indies, period. This is before he started having his issues with the board and so on. But at that time, he was clearly, and there was a call, if you would remember, why isn't Evan Lewis playing in the test team? Because, again, at that time, which we seem to perpetually be doing the West Indies, is to find a quality opening test batsman. And he was one of the names and people, why is he not playing test cricket? And, of course, Mr. Hetmyer, last but not least, Mr. Hetmyer, it seems like he has some points to prove, because having had to sit down on the bench for the entire World Cup, that he is reminding people of what Mr. Hetmyer can do when once given the opportunity. So I wish Mr. Hetmyer all well, because I will not shy from this. The Amazon Warriors is my team. So once Mr. Hetmyer is doing well for my team, I'm happy.
Joel, let's look at Evan Lewis first. As Basil said that a few years ago, Evan Lewis was the best white ball batsman in the Caribbean, period. He made a century, the only century thus far in the CPL. From what you have seen from Evan Lewis, is he rounding back into that top level form?
It might be too soon to say that, but it might be too soon. But it is just good, to, especially I want to tie in Hetmyer in this convo as well. It's just good to see that even though these guys are not getting the opportunities, when they are the consistent opportunities, as I say, but when they are now in a tournament where the region is on display and we have to show the talent that they are showing it well and putting in great performances, and we know what Evan Lewis can do, is capable of. And I hope throughout the rest of the tournaments he can show it, and maybe that will bode well for some type of selection for upcoming series soon. But definitely it is too soon, but he is showing why, what Basil said, to Basil's point, why in the past 3 years he was the best white ball batsman. And of course, given the unfortunate circumstances, yeah, he was not picked. But Evan Lewis for sure is showing what he could do. And Hetmyer as well.
So Carlton,
Go ahead, sir.
you were in Jamaica. I understand that Lewis was part of the camp prior to that South Africa series before the World Cup. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, he was part of the camp, but I think he pulled out. He was invited, and then he pulled out.
Okay, so he never actually set foot in Jamaica.
No.
Okay. Oh, gotcha.
No. Gerard, you happen to see Joel Andrew up live. Yes. Tell us about this young man.
What can I say? Well, so first and foremost, evidently he has a cricket brain. I think that's the most important thing when you're looking at these young players. He's very humble, takes his time when he's batting. He's not just chasing any shot, trying to whoop it, as we like to say. Right? I like how he thinks. He takes his time. And I think something that a lot of West Indian batsmen don't do well, he looks at the fielding. Because some guys will just say, right, I'm going to just slap this for 6, and they're not looking at the field changes. They're not adapting to what is happening around them. And I've seen that with this young man, and he could command a game. He at 17 years old, he can change a game. He can change a game. Once he has a solid partner with him and he takes his time, and we've seen it. He's scored some very good scores so far, some high scores. And yeah, I'm very impressed with him. And once we do not fill his head too much or make him swell-headed too much, and as we've done with past young aspiring cricketers, let's just let him enjoy his cricket. I think we have a great one for the future, as Basil said, a great player for the future. He looks like he has a great head on his shoulders, as we say.
Yeah, I comment to you, Basil, and Basil, I'm going to ask you if he's the real deal in the making. But I'm coming to you, just as Gerard said a while ago, we need to let him enjoy his cricket. That's the exact thing I told him yesterday. I said, boss, don't think about the CPL. Just go out there and just enjoy yourself. Have fun. That's the exact thing I told him yesterday. Just have fun. Don't think about the CPL. Basil, does this young man has the potential to be the real deal?
I think he has the talent and batting ability to become a really good player. We always have to be cautious because we have seen young players like him come up in the region frequently in the last several decades, and you know we would have had some of the same superlatives like we do of Joel Andrew, and those guys never went on to kick on. And that's more a reflection of our structure more so than the player. Oh, look, I would remind you of Basrat. Is Basrat? Bharat, Adrian Bharat from Trinidad.
Yes, from Trinidad.
This guy was a prodigy. I started hearing about him when he was 12, 13 years old. He never disappointed. Even when, as soon as he started playing for Trinidad as a teenager, he was, you could see that this guy was destined for greatness. And then he fulfilled that with a start, making for a debut 100 against Australia, in Australia. So all of us was buzzing. And then everything fell apart, right? And he left the game, we would say prematurely, right? So I don't want to put any of that burden on Andrew. I think, as Gerard said, I want to keep his feet to the ground and let him go through the process of development that we set out. I mean, he as he's a young guy coming up now, we have a chance now because we have screwed up in the past. We got to do things a little different. How we're gonna develop our young talented players, and hopefully they have something in place for young Andrew. I'm looking forward to see him when we have South Africa coming next year in the A team. He is somebody I expect to see in the A team.
Thank you very much. Now, before I want a quick word on Mikel Louis, but I want to tell those who are watching that there's a live poll in the live chat, and I'm asking, who do you think should be West Indies number 6 bowler? Should Chase continue to be? He had a wonderful World Cup. We saw fall off in the South African series, and he has not yet impressed in this year's CPL. On the other hand, Kyle Myers I've seen to have developed his bowling so much. So should Kyle Myers be the 6th bowler, or Ruston Chase continues to be the 6th bowler? The good thing about this poll is that both are Barbadians, so no one can accuse me of country bias, as they often do. But there's one point I want to make about Kyle Myers. And once again, Kyle Myers have proved me right. Many times I've said that personal responsibility is, no matter what Cricket West Indies does or what the regional boards do, without personal responsibilities, the players won't improve. Kyle Myers recognized that he has to improve his bowling and add variety to his bowling, and he took on that responsibility. You saw his bowling in those 6 matches. You see how far his bowling has come along because he took on personal responsibilities. That told me that these players, if they take on personal responsibilities, they will improve their game. A quick word on Mikel Louis, not long, Gerard, and then and from you, Basil. A quick word.
Yeah, just very impressed so far and solid. And St. Kitts need all these solid contributors they could get right now. And look, and that's crazy because Basil was talking about the few games in St. Kitts. Look at the top 3 guys from a team that only won 1 game.
1 game.
Look at that.
Yes.
That's crazy.
The three top
West
are all from that team.
All from that team.
So it says something about their bowling.
It said it definitely.
Top heavy, the top heavy.
Bowlers like Shamsi and Norkir and Asaranga, but I really think it is a backup bowling like Ryan John, Odin Simit. And you know, I really think that is it is those 5th and 6th bowlers that, because the matches did go very close. Now, gentlemen, let us look at the bowling thus far in the CPL, and once again there we see a West Indies player at the top of it, Gudakesh Motie, 9 wickets in. Well, he's in 2nd position. Narke is 1st with 10 wickets, but we are looking at the West Indies player. So Gudakesh Motie, 9 wickets from 3 matches. The leading West Indies bowlers, and although Allen, Springer, and Myers played in 6 matches, Allen, Motie is outstanding. Is he a cut above the rest, Basil?
Yeah, you asked a question between who is more impressive, him or Hetmyer. I have to give.
Well, we don't come to that yet.
All right, okay, but I would say Mr. Motie has again showed his pedigree here in the T20 game with his performances thus far. You know, the things you look at that is most impressive for me with Motie is the one his wicket taking ability, but 2, his economy rate is outstanding. I look through the list of all the players that are the bowlers in the CPL, and only 1 bowler who has bowled the comparable amount of balls as Motie, has a better economy rate is a guy Noor from the Afghan left arm spinner.
Mhm.
He's the only guy that has a better economy rate than Motie. So
Yes. In the bowling, what I do to come to the KPI, I add the average, the economy, and the strike rate.
mhm,
And the person with the lowest of those three, when you add all of those three, because you know bowling is low and batting
mhm,
is high. So when
yeah,
you add all of those three, Motie is just 22.51, which suggests that it is world class. Most
yeah.
world class bowlers operate at 25 and below.
And right now Motie is ranked number 3 in the T20 rankings behind the other Hussein and number 1 Rashid from England. So he is living up to his international reputation, and that's what we want to see. We want to see, and when we look at like charts like you have here, we want to see our current West Indies players high on those charts.
Yes. What about Fabian Allen, Gerard?
What can we say? Well, when I got to speak with him, when was that? Well, so I spoke to him when the last victory on the last home game against TKR, and he was saying it was just he he knew he had to step up. Is that team needs the players to step up, and a lot of them are looking to him. They said they are looking up to him to step up, and he has been enjoying his cricket so far at the tournament, and he's doing well. He's doing well, and he's taking wickets, and not just wickets, but great in the field as well. I know we're talking about bowling, but his all-round performance in terms of contributing to wickets has been very solid. And so far, the pitches are reacting well to his bowling too. So that's key. And he's finding the good areas to manipulate the batsman and get the key wickets. So 7 wickets so far. I mean, yes, it's 6 matches, but key wickets, especially that TKR match. There were some key wickets, especially that caught-on ball on
Mr.
Puran.
Puran.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basil, I
I know. I think if it wasn't for that wicket, Trinidad would have won that match.
correct.
Because
Correct.
you could have guaranteed. Puran is now at this level right now. You could guarantee Puran will give you somewhere between 20 and 50 runs, right?
Yes.
And if he scored anywhere between that, Trinidad win the game.
Yeah.
Okay. But when you look at his KPI, though, it's very high, because
Yeah.
it's up to 42. And at a level like the CPL, he needs to get that down. His average is rather high for a tournament like this, giving
Yeah.
up 20 runs for a
The
wicket.
area he has to get down is his economy rate.
Right.
That
Yeah.
economy
Yeah.
rate, because I mean, I understand the KPIs and all of that, but as you correctly said, this is not the international level. And if your economy rate is at 8.2, when we extrapolate that to international, we're talking double figures, and that is not good enough at all.
Yeah. Yes. Now, gentlemen, I just want to go back to the first table. That's the points table. I will start with you, Basil. If you are to pick your 4 playoff teams from here, who are the 2 you are leaving out?
I live not Antigua and St. Kitts Nevis.
Is that the same for you, Gerard?
Gerard said no. He said Antigua make it. Gerard is biased,
Yes. No, I have to be. Okay. My heart, right? My heart says I will leave out. This hard way. I will leave out Kings and Nevis.
You leave
Let me
out
say
Kings
and
you leave out,
Patriots.
I would leave out the Riders and the Patriots,
All right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would leave out the Riders and the Patriots. So gentlemen, and there's a poll going. I'm going to check the result of that poll. Basil, what can you tell us about the story behind Shafin Rutherford leaving the Patriots?
Hey, I mean, I've heard some things. It seemed to be some issues between it. That's what I'm hearing. There may be some conflict between him and the captain and maybe others, and that led to the team letting him go for the rest of the season. What is the nature? I don't know. But it's unfortunate if that's what based on what I've heard, if that's so, because I would feel that those things could have been worked out, because I've seen in sport here in the United States where you've had knockdown, drag out, coursing between a coach and a player, almost to fisticuffs. But then as professionals, they sat down and cleared the air, because as professionals, we all know we've all worked at jobs. We didn't like all of our co-workers, but we were professional enough to work with them, and we all had a common goal to get the job done. So all of us had to work together to get the job done. When we left work, we went our separate ways. We didn't go to the power end where to have a beer with a person you probably didn't like, but you had to do the work together. And those are the things we have to, young players have to understand. Not everybody you're going to get along and be hunky-dory with, but you have to be professional enough, because you all have a job to be done. And I think too, I mean, I am speculating a bit here, but I would like that a franchise be able to deal with such situations. Because these things are always going to happen. Because remember, these are guys, you're mushing them together in a short space of time, and they have to play as a team. So the most essential element that has to be filtrating throughout the organization is professionalism at all times.
So you are saying that it's not that Rutherford leave, but in essence, he was fired.
Yeah, similar to what happened. Similar. I mean, in terms of like what happened to Kevin Sinclair last year. If you remember, Carlton, it's the same form letter, just with the same exact wording when Sinclair was let go by Guyana. Because the CPL, it seemed like the CPL got this form letter. So when a player in this situation is cut, they say for personal reasons. But we all know after the fact, things start to filter out about what happened with Sinclair and the team felt the situation became a little untenable, and it was best for him to be separate from the team for the rest of the season. And probably that's the same situation that has occurred in St. Kitts Nevis. This is not where the guy left on his own accord, because that just think about it from a professional perspective for Rutherford. Rutherford is a guy that's looking to play in all the leagues around the world. The last thing he would want to be doing is walking out on a contract, because that would not look good on his resume for a potential team to pick him, because right away that is going to send up antennas. Wait, is this guy reliable? And Carlton, the last thing you want anybody to think about you as a professional is the lack of reliability.
Yeah, you don't want persons to lose confidence in you.
Exactly.
That's the big deal.
Yes.
So, Gerard, do you think that Rutherford believes that he should have been the captain of the Patriots, and the fact that Fletcher was asked to captain the Patriots, is that an issue?
Oh, good. Why are you asking me that hard one? First of all, when I saw who they picked, I was shocked. Was an understatement. I wouldn't doubt that. I think so. I genuinely think so. I think he was a better choice, to be fair, right? And up to now, I've not seen.
Who do you think was the better choice, Rutherford or the Fletcher?
No, Rutherford. The only thing I will say about Fletcher's captaincy is he's a bit brave with the bowlers. That's all I would say. You can see he tried something. I'll give him that. He tried. It may not always work out, but at least he's trying something. I've not seen him done the same thing in each of the games so far. He's tried to vary the bowlers, the order. I'll give him that. But he would not have been my first choice as captain at all.
Carlton, it's interesting you asked that question, because I was having a conversation about that same situation, and I felt that in my view, they should have given Rutherford the captaincy, although he's a young guy in terms of being a captain and so on, and give him all the support, because here is a guy, he's on his I think he's 27, or he's gonna be 27. This is a guy that can play for your franchise for at least 5+ years. So and he is a he is a West Indies player. I mean, I see the person put in there.
Yes,
Yeah.
so Robin Sebastian
How
is
we
saying
going
that
to
both
know?
Rutherford and Fletcher are not captain material. But I'm
How
going to
we?
ask Robin, who would you have as a captain for the Patriots?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Nilo is saying, in my opinion, Rutherford is better captain from what I see when he
Yeah,
took
he
over
captained two
last
games
year.
last year when Lewis was, I think when Lewis was injured or something of the sort, right?
Yes,
So I mean, it's interesting. I mean, they had a little preview of what he can become,
yes.
and so on, and and what Robin is saying there is a very good, another good name he threw in there, because Myers had captained the Royals team last year, or the year before, when
I
after.
don't cut your basket, but just before I forget, the poll that was in the live chat between who should be the sixth bowler on the West Indies team, it was very close. I expected it to be close. Chase 55% and Myers 45%. So they are sticking with Chase, showing some loyalty to Chase. But just go ahead, but Robin, as I said, Robin think that
Yeah,
Myers should
and
be.
because Myers had captaincy experience with the Royals when Miller had to leave for international duty, he had to captain the rest of the season. So he also had experience with captaincy. But the thing about it, Carlton, in my books, Myers could be and Chase could be very well playing in the same 11 for the West Indies. So rather than having six bowler, we could be having seven bowling options in the team, if you will.
But we could probably look into drop one of the all-rounders later down the order.
Well, I mean that too, because in my view, I think Myers not only he
But we,
can.
we'll discuss that another time, because if we go there,
Yeah,
we'll probably go on
yeah,
all
yeah.
the way.
Okay, okay, Carlton.
We'll probably go on all the way. What do you think though, Jared? Who you think should have captained the team? Do you think that Lewis should have taken it back over? Or would you go with Myers, or you would have got stick with Fletcher?
Uh, Match is not good, is not a bad show, but I think the Rutherford shout. I think that would have been the best shout. As you said, young player, just have the team galvanize around him, support him. I think that would have been a good show. It would have been a good experiment to see how he features and how he takes over. I think that would have been good rather than Fletcher, as one of your guys mentioned there. As I said, he's trying with the bowling, but with the last game, I wasn't pleased with what he did with his key bowlers in the recent game. Right, she tried to hold back Nokia as best as possible, but I don't know. Fletcher for me is not adapting to the changes immediately and reacting, but he is trying. I'll give him that. With the bowling, at least he's trying something. I'll give him that.
And,
Uh,
and let me just say this quickly. One of very essential elements, even more so highlighted in these kind of tournaments, the captain has to be a good man manager, because you remember the guys come in short order, right? You ain't got this relationship a long standing and y'all be together. Your man management skills is going to be tested, because you got to get these guys as a group pointing in the right direction, or
Yeah.
everybody together in very,
Mhm.
very short time.
Michael Douglas believes that Fletcher has let many games get away from him because he's always take too long to bring back his strike bowler. So you may have a point there. There's a poll going on in which I ask who is the most impressive player in the CPL so far this year. Is it Gudakesh Motie or is it Shimron Hetmyer? Again, two Guyanese. So let's see what they're actually at the top of the table. Yeah, so I go with both of them. They're at the top. I don't pick them because I pick them based on the stats, based on the
Well done, well done.
performance. Who do you think? So that's a live poll going on in the chat. I see here where Sean Gordon is saying, is the CPL helping the cricket? I think though, Sean Gordon, I think the question is probably too broad, and you probably need to narrow it down a bit, because we'll probably that will probably take us the entire evening and tomorrow to answer. So if you could narrow it down a bit, we will definitely get. I personally don't believe the players are supporting Fletcher because they should have done better. Jared, how do you respond to that?
Yeah. I think they're doing their best to support him, but yes, you're right. Some of the individual, but I mean, there's only so much. As you just showed the chart, the batsmen are at least doing their part. The batsmen are clearly doing something. Even that chase, the game before, where Rutherford was cruising, okay, Ghana, I think it was the Ghana match. They were doing fairly okay.
Yeah, they
Right,
were.
because that was a difficult chase to make, and they made a great effort, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Basil.
they were. I mean,
Yeah.
me and my friend was on the phone watching the match and talking about it, and he kept saying, "Boy, Butch, they ahead." I say yes, but the problem is this: you got to keep striking at that same rate and sustain it through 20 overs, and this is where the pressure of run chases comes in, because every time you get a dot ball, the run rate goes up. The run rate keeps going up. So you have that pressure to score off of every ball and then seeing that thing going up. So players who have the ability to withstand that pressure and deal with it, and a player comes to mind is Mr. Dhoni. I always use MS Dhoni because MS Dhoni, in my view, is the greatest chaser. I mean, Virat Kohli, many would say, but Dhoni had this uncanny ability to calculate in his mind how he was going to get the runs. And many times, me and you as a fan watching, like, what happened, Dhoni? You got to go for the boundaries. And Dhoni calm and doing his thing. And next year, the game is in hand and Dhoni pulled the game out.
Yeah, so SO is saying that Rutherford would have been a better captain than Fletcher, and Robin Sebastian is saying, without a doubt, Myers should be opening batting for the West Indies. It's the same gamble like opening it with Narayan. And a big discussion can be around that one again, because number one, once King is fit, he will open. What do you do with O? Is Evan Lewis getting back to his best form? If Myers, will Myers fit into that team? So that is a very, very wide conversation. And
Sammy has a lot of headaches, Carlton. A lot
yes.
of headaches.
Yeah. And Ahmad Noor is saying that maybe Rutherford can be signed by the Warriors next year. That would be very interesting. He's going home.
But he forgot Rutherford actually bailed out from Guyana because of issues within the Guyana setup and him. That's why he left in the first place.
Yeah, yes, that's why he left in the first place. But maybe he's going to say that Rutherford can find his way back home, just like Kemo Paul. It was the same issue, and Kemo Paul found his way back home.
Yeah, and again, Carlton, this is where, as professionals, grown men, you sit down and you air out what situations you have, and come to an agreement so you could move forward rather than holding grudges and so on. Them things has caused people to get illness, man.
Yes. Now, Basil and Jared, it appears, the fixtures already been set, and we realize that St. Lucia Kings will only play 4 home matches. The same for the Barbados Royals. They'll only play 4 home matches. Both teams will play twice in Guyana.
Right.
When I saw that, the first thing that came to my mind is it that the contractual arrangement with Guyana is that they should get at least, thank you very much, they should get at least 10 matches. Is that a part of the contractual arrangement?
Maybe.
And the 5 home matches and the 4 playoff matches will come up to 9. And you couldn't ask Barbados, for example, to play St. Lucia in St. Lucia, and then Barbados play St. Lucia in Guyana for their home match. So they just bring both matches there. What do you think surrounded why Barbados and St. Lucia has to be playing twice in Guyana?
You probably hit the nail on the head. Because it's a lucrative contract the Guyana government signed with the CPL, and as they say, money talks and BS walks, right? So that may have something to do with it, because at the end of the day, this is a money-making venture. It's an entertaining money-making venture. And they may also look at, well, the games primarily, it's two places where you're always going to see the place going to be ram-packed. It's Trinidad and Guyana.
Yes.
In the CPL. Those are the two places you could guarantee the place will be ram-packed. And I don't know, I would think that could have a thing in that situation, but who knows?
Jared, it could be contractual agreement, but is it unfair to the Royals and the Kings
Yes.
to be losing that support at home?
Yeah, I definitely think so. But we've seen it even with World Cup and whatnot. Something with Ghana and other CPL tournaments previously. Ghana seemed to have a monopoly or whatever's in their contract, their special contract. But yeah, I think it's definitely unfair that they're missing out on that extra home game, because we see the home games have a key advantage in these games. So yeah, I definitely think so, because that could be the difference between needing maybe one more victory to guarantee a playoff spot, and they don't have that home support.
Yeah, and I mean we can't deny a team the chance to have their home folks to get to see them play the full complement of matches like the other places. I think it's unfair. I think everybody should get the 5 games and then whatever other games you got there. But Guyana get the 5 games and the playoffs. Why they getting all these other games?
But when Guyana negotiated the contract, to be fair, it was during COVID, and they would have probably stipulated the 10 games in the contract. So the contract expired this year, so we look forward to see what's going forward.
When they have the next contract. Yeah.
Yes, because during that time, matches were not being played in every region.
Right.
Robin, I really appreciate your comment, but after the CPL, we'll be picking the West Indies team for Sri Lanka, and I ask you to come and let us interact there and then with that team. And I saw Gabriel Emery also naming his West Indies.
I'll bring Robin Fair. He's a good friend of mine. I'll bring him Fair. That's a very good friend of mine. He used to play cricket and all. He's very good. So, and he loves cricket. Most of my knowledge is from him. He's very good. So yes, that is why he's taking over your comment section. I loves cricket. Loves it.
Okay, so well, since you know him, then we can invite him on when
you definitely love that. You will love that. You will love that.
Yeah. So all right, so we'll invite him on. Now, gentlemen, the question that is running in the poll, and I saw where 68%, 62% of the person are saying that Budakesh Motie is actually performing better than Shimron Hetmyer in the CPL so far. Come to you first, Basil, and then I go to Jared. What are your thoughts? Who you think is a better performer thus far?
I have to give it to Mr. Motie. A guy with the economy rate so low, and is the second top wicket taker. He's second in economy rate and he's second in wicket taking in the overall charts. Hetmyer has been showing the Hetmyer that many of his fans have been waiting with bated breath. I mean, he had this swashbuckling 9-1, but over the 3 games, Mr. Motie has been the force for Guyana, in my view.
Jared, who you think are performing the better of the two?
You see, I would have seen Mayers performing more games.
No, not right? Mayers. Motie and Hetmyer.
Oh, Hetmyer. Sorry. Hetmyer. Nah, definitely, I'll have to give it to Motie. If we discussing it, then yeah, Motie for sure. To me has been, but you can't discount Hetmyer's contribution. But for me, Motie, I'll have to give it to Motie. Yeah.
You would have to give it to Motie. And Basil, how much is it that the fact that Hetmyer is out of contract and the IPL draft is coming up, and it definitely looks like he has lost weight. How much of that you think has now caused him? Because I think now that he looks to be settling down and really putting in the work. Do you think that have any effect on him?
I think maybe it could. I didn't even think that far. I more looked at it now as a competitor. You get selected on a World Cup team in your home region, and you never get a chance to get off the bench, right? And I know, and I would argue Hetmyer look at the 11 that is played and say to himself, man, I know I could bat more than this guy, I could bat more than this guy. And he spent the entire World Cup on the bench. And he probably said to himself, no, in a way, it was a humbling experience because I think Hetmyer had let himself, this is just my view looking outside in from his actions, he had let himself become bigger than the cricket. And you know how everything in life has a way of humbling you. And I think that World Cup experience humbled him. And I realized, look, if I want to gain what I want to gain in this game, I better put in the work and get myself into the West Indies team, back into the West Indies team, perform. Because as you know, Carlton, when you're in the international team, the IPL and so on come in more so than if you're not in the international team. And if you perform in the international fixtures, the IPL comes a running even more so. Because now we're going to play some white ball cricket in Sri Lanka. So Hetmyer will be aiming to be on that team, going to Sri Lanka, put in performances which would be just before the IPL draft.
And that's why we must not rule out Lewis, you know. We must not rule out, because I think Lewis is thinking the same way.
Yeah,
with Gerard, you and I were at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy for that World Cup match against New Zealand, and we saw while everyone else was warming up, Hetmyer was just having his hand in his pocket and just strolling around.
Yeah.
What Basil is saying, is there any merit to it that he felt disappointed, very disappointed that he did not play in the World Cup match? He has to rub the bench for the entire World Cup?
Of course, I'm sure you would have felt very disappointed, but that is sport. That is sport. You could be how good, how whatever. So if you're not picked, you'll have to take that on the chin. And he's doing what he has to do now in the CPL, as Basil said, performing well. And now this performance has to get him the spot on the West Indies team, and then the performance in the West Indies team now will get him into the IPL. Right? That is the format. That is how it will work. But yeah, he will definitely have been very disappointed because he could have easily been in that team.
I saw Basil laugh because of what Mr. Casanova said, and Mr. Casanova is saying, Gerard, to do a call Uber, putting in the work when he gets dropped or put on the bench.
Lord.
Is it a Guyanese thing, Basil?
No, I think Mr. Casanova is conflating a few things. So let's get the historical facts in straight. Carl Hooper retired from the West Indies.
No, but Hooper did say that.
No. Here I'm saying.
Okay.
He retired. He had retired from the West Indies team. There was some health challenges with his young son. So he, people make all kinds of things, but his family at that time was a preeminent thing. He retired. But Carl knew to get back into the West Indies team, he would have had to put in the work. And I listened to Carl carefully in an interview where he said, because look, I got a friend, him and Carl grew up together, high school, youth cricket. And he used to tell me how hard Carl Hooper used to train getting into the West Indies team. And is that Carl went back to. And I remember Carl saying he went in and he played great cricket in Australia on those green tops that seaming and bouncing. And in all level of Australian cricket, you're going to find guys bowling fast. It's like the West Indies or the old days. Club cricket, everywhere you're finding guys bowling fast. And Carl said going through that, when he came back to the Caribbean, right, in 2000, I think it was, to play the regional cricket, he said on the flight, nobody could get him out. So I don't think the man, that is, there are some things you could play around with. But Carl actually retired from the game. And
Gerard, your view, your friend Robin is saying that Hetmyer IPL career is on the line. He has to get himself in because he's easily replaceable. But
I agree with that.
Nilo Alexander, but listen to Nilo Alexander reply. Keep dreaming.
Nilo Alexander
Love
is
it, love
obviously a
it,
Hetmyer
love it.
man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so 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 who is right? Is Robin right or Nyla right? What do you think, Jared?
No, I think Basil answered that question first already. He could, in terms of this is his stage now to guarantee or cement his spot. His spot should, I don't think it is in huge jeopardy, but to cement the spot, he has to show he could do it in the CPL and the West Indies team, especially in that subcontinent tour. And then, yeah, I think you'll be more than safe in 5PL. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
sup-
because Carlton for
surprise, surprise, just before I come to you, Basil, is that the
uh-huh.
poll now has Hetmyer as the better performer than Motie.
Well, what happened,
Wow.
Carlton? What may have happened? A lot of Hetmyer fans may have joined
Yeah,
into the
yeah,
competition.
yeah.
Uh,
No,
uh,
I
uh,
think Nilo has 10 emails. Nilo has 10 emails.
Nilo has 10 emails and is a Hetmyer fan. What I want to ask, though, gentlemen,
Yes.
is Rutherford leaving the CPL? Is that jeopardizing is spot in the West Indies playing 11? Rutherford has been known to come up good whenever the West Indies is under pressure. The last against Australia in that match, against New
New
Zealand in the
Zealand.
World Cup, and against South Africa in the second match in Trinidad, he came good when the West Indies need him. Is his spot under pressure now that Lewis and Hetmyer is batting so well and is out of the CPL?
No, I don't think so. I can give you just a point from a coach perspective. When you got a guy in your team who's a match winner, and as Rutherford has proven to do so in the last year, 3 matches, he has been a match winner. You don't discard guys like that, because when you say you going into a series to play a 3-game series and you got or a 5-game series or whatever, and you got one guy in your team who has done it before on multiple occasions that no one can win a match. You then now got to worry now about the other 4 matches because you got one match already covered. No, Rutherford's position is not jeopardized by this situation, in my view.
Agree,
Yeah,
Jared?
fully agree. Yeah, game changer. Can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And although we are not really talking about the West Indies team,
Yeah,
we're
see,
having
it's
a conversation.
segue.
We're not going to dwell on these West Indies points because we'll be picking the team. But
Yes.
Boris Smith is saying good night. Shea Hope and Evan Lewis should be opening for the West Indies. That may be so, Boris, and you're entitled to your opinion, and we respect your opinion, but it's not going to happen as long as King is fit. He will be the West
Sure.
Indies opener. And
Yeah.
we welcome your opinion, we welcome your views, and we respect them. But I don't think you will see that as long as King is fit. Agree, Basil?
Yeah, I agree. King is the guy that's foot is in the cement, so to speak, when it comes at the opening position for the Western team, is to find somebody who they feel is suitable to complement King, for particularly those top 6 overs in the power play. That's the kind of player we're looking for to get into that position with King.
Okay. Jared, I wanted to ask you this question, but the reason why I'm letting Basil take this is because he's a Guyanese, and we don't want anyone to say, we are anti-Hetmyer because we are far from that. But tell him how wrong him is. Tell him how wrong him is and how detrimental that would be to Hetmyer career if he does.
I think this guy right here is first the premise of what he is saying is that West Indies did something to Hetmyer and not the other way around. I would argue this point with him. Hetmyer who's got himself into this position, not West Indies. Now, everything about West Indies cricket is not honky-dory. But when we look at the actions of Hetmyer going back 3 years to now, it was self-inflicted wounds in terms of playing for the West Indies. So this guy, what he's saying, I know this guy don't even realize there is a segment of West Indies fans who feel that Hetmyer should never wear maroon again for not getting on that plane to go to the World Cup. He don't realize the disappointment of many people who were Hetmyer fans that turned away from Hetmyer because of those actions. So I think this guy here is not looking at the picture clearly and holistic, and he is one of those that feel West Indies wrong Hetmyer. Now, in terms of the World Cup, I have said this over and over. This is my view. Hetmyer was not picked in the West Indies team to open batting in that World Cup team. He was explicitly said by Desmond Haynes in the press conference, we have picked Hetmyer to play in the middle order. They went with the middle order guy over the next opening bat in Mears, right? The person in the middle order that did not perform in the World Cup was the captain. The captain is not getting dropped. And that was unfortunate for Hetmyer because all the other guys, when they played, they performed. Mr. Puran, Mr. Chase, and Rutherford. So the only one was Powell. He is not getting dropped. And that was unfortunate for Hetmyer.
And the other thing I want to say, and I think this gentleman, I'm assuming that he's a gentleman, he doesn't realize, and I probably never heard the point that you made, Basil, that if Hetmyer don't somehow try to force himself in the West Indies team, his contracts in franchise circle will be less.
Correct.
So yeah, it will be less. Gerard, we say Stephen Roach is saying something here that will take an entire show. He's saying that please discuss whether West Indies cricket was better managed and organized in the region during colonial times as compared to independent times.
You know something, Carlton? Maybe
yes.
You should do a show on that.
All right.
So
thank you. Yeah, yes. All right.
That should be a topic because for the younger people, it would give them some historical context of from whence West Indies cricket has come to where it is today.
Yes. Gerard, final word from you, Gerard.
Right. CPL wise.
Yes.
Yes. So well, of course, some great action coming up. We have games tomorrow. Antigua in action again Wednesday. So I'm only mentioning Antigua because I'm following Antigua, but I'm very impressed with Guyana now. I've had comments, people telling me that they don't like looking at Guyana for this tournament, but I think it's because they are just getting the job done. Guyana's playing like if they have a timer, there's an alarm set, they need to be finished by a certain time, and they have been very clinical, and people are saying they're not enjoying that. But I like to see that. You're defending champions for a reason, and they're showing their pedigree. They're showing, okay, right, we finally won our first CPL out of so much times of being asked, and now they are defending it very well, I must say. So I can't wait to see when, how they progress, especially in the home legs. But as I predicted before, I think I can't see Kings and Patriots making it. I can see the Falcons in their debut making the playoffs, and that is my heart speaking.
Basil, your view, many persons have been saying that Guyana will be unbeatable this year. You give us your final words.
I think Guyana's team, now with the addition of Moeen Ali, I think Guyana has the most well-rounded team, batting-wise and bowling-wise. And in my view, it is Guyana's CPL to lose, right? I think clearly Guyana has the best team when you look on paper in terms of well-rounded team and so on. It's their CPL to lose, right? I mean, not to say other teams can't beat them, but I feel if Guyana, the team I fear the most actually, I would say two. Trinidad and Barbados, because both of those teams have a batsman on each of those teams that can destroy a team. And both of them are left-handers, Mr. Puran and Mr. De Kock. And it's ironic. I used to call Puran, when I first saw him as a 17-year-old, a poor man's De Kock. Because you remember that time De Kock had just burst onto the scene for South Africa, scoring all those runs, and their style is so similar, the way they strike the ball and all of those kinds of things. And I think those two teams on a given day, I feel can beat Guyana. So, but I think the CPL is for Guyana to lose.
I think so too. As you would have said, I also think that the Barbados Royals is their biggest threat. I'm going to maintain my prediction is that the Riders and the Patriots will not make it. I just believe that they won't make it. Thank you all for tuning in. The poll said that 52% of you believe that Hetmyer is performing better than Budakesh Motie at this stage. 48% Budakesh Motie. Thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful evening. See you tomorrow for the live watch along. Take care of yourself and your loved ones.